There will come a time in every single person's life when they feel like the walls are closing in, the road ahead is blocked, and the weight on their shoulders is just too much to carry. And in that moment when it feels like no one understands, no one sees, and no one is there, a powerful reality dawns upon the heart. Only Allah can help me. People may sympathize, but they cannot truly feel your pain. They may try to help, but even their efforts will fall short unless Allah allows them to succeed. When you realize that everything and everyone around you is merely a means and the true helper is Allah alone, your heart will find peace. The Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was flung into a blazing fire and no human could intervene. It was Allah who said, "O fire, be cool and safe." That moment alone teaches us the essence of reliance. There comes a time in life when people will let you down. No matter how good you've been to them, no matter how much you've stood by their side, there will be moments when the very people you love the most walk away. It's painful, it's confusing, and often it leaves you questioning your worth. But the truth is, people were never meant to fill the role of permanence in your life. They were always temporary. They come and go, sometimes as a blessing, sometimes as a lesson. And in the middle of that heartbreak, you begin to realize a reality that changes everything. When people leave, Allah remains. If you place your happiness in the hands of people, they will eventually drop it. If you tie your heart to someone expecting them to keep it safe, they may one day shatter it. But if your heart is tied to the one who never leaves, never forgets, and never changes, then even when the world walks away, you remain firm, because your anchor was never the people, it was always Allah. He is the one who was there before anyone else, and He will remain after everyone is gone. People may be loyal, but their loyalty has limits. Their understanding is incomplete. They can only see what you show them, and they can only help as much as they are capable. But the one who created you, He knows you better than you know yourself. He knows what you conceal. He knows what breaks you. He knows what holds you back, what makes you smile, what makes you cry. And when everyone else forgets, He remembers. When you're betrayed by someone you trusted, the pain is not just emotional, it feels spiritual. But that pain is often a doorway to something greater. It reminds you that true reliance should not be on the creation, but on the Creator. And the more you learn this, the more peaceful you become. Not because people suddenly change, but because your expectations shift. You no longer wait for people to be your savior. You look to Allah. You realize that even if the whole world turns its back on you, the one who matters the most is still by your side, and that's enough. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, and every betrayal is a chance to grow closer to Allah. When you turn to Him with that broken heart, you're turning to the only one who can actually heal it. He doesn't just soothe you for a moment, He rebuilds you entirely. He fills you with a strength that others cannot comprehend. You begin to smile through your tears, to stand when you thought you'd fall, to move forward when everything inside you wanted to give up. That's not from you, that's from Him. And when people leave, sometimes it's a form of divine protection. Perhaps Allah saw something you didn't. Perhaps He heard conversations about you that you never heard. Perhaps He saw betrayal in hearts that still smiled to your face, so He removed them. And you thought it was loneliness, but it was actually mercy. You thought it was loss, but it was actually gain. Because sometimes, in order to protect your soul, Allah clears your path from what was harming it, even if it meant removing people you thought you couldn't live without. And yet, this does not mean we stop caring about people or building meaningful relationships. No, it means we care while knowing our hearts ultimately belong to Allah. It means we love without becoming dependent. We support others, we build friendships, we form families, but we do not give others the part of our heart that belongs only to our Maker. This mindset frees you from constant disappointment, because you begin to realize humans are not perfect. They will have flaws, they will misunderstand, they may hurt you unintentionally, but Allah, He never fails. One of the most powerful signs of spiritual maturity is being okay when people leave, not because you've become cold, but because you've become grounded. Your value is no longer defined by who stays and who goes. Your peace is not disturbed by temporary exits. You realize that every person in your life is there by the will of Allah and will leave by His will too. And when one door closes, He opens another. When one hand lets go, He holds you tighter. And the more you reflect, the more you realize the people who walked away were never the foundation of your life. They were just chapters in your story. Allah is the author. He remains when the pages turn. And sometimes the greatest awakening happens when you are left alone. That loneliness forces you to look inward. It forces you to evaluate your life, your choices, and your direction. And often it leads you back to the very place you needed to be, at the feet of your Creator. Because when you have no one else to turn to, you finally turn to Him with sincerity. And that sincerity is the key that opens all the doors. In those moments when people disappoint you, don't become bitter. Become better. Don't let their actions rob you of your goodness. Let their absence push you toward divine presence. You may cry. You may struggle, but never forget, the one who sees your pain is the one who will reward your patience, and what He gives in return is always far better than what was taken away. Now, there's another powerful truth many people forget. You do not need to be perfect for Allah to help you. Too often we convince ourselves that we are not worthy of His mercy, that because we've made mistakes, we're disqualified from His assistance. But this thinking is a deception. It's one of the biggest tools of despair. Because the truth is, Allah helps those who turn to Him, not those who are flawless. He helps the sinner who cries at night, the one who regrets their past, the one who is trying, even if they stumble. He helps the one whose heart is sincere, even if their actions still need work. Look at the stories of the prophets and you'll find this pattern again and again. They weren't perfect because of their strength. They were chosen because of their humility before Allah. They turned to Him in hardship. They sought forgiveness. They made dua. That's what mattered. So don't think your weakness disqualifies you from His help. In fact, it's often your weakness that brings you closer. Because when you are at your lowest, that's when you raise your hands with the most sincerity. Sometimes Allah allows hardship in your life just to bring you back to Him. The struggle you're going through might not be a punishment, it might be a wake-up call, a chance to realign your priorities, a reminder that the solution was never in the people or the money or the status, it was always in your connection with Him. And when you realize this, you'll stop waiting to be good enough to seek His help. You'll just seek it as you are, with your flaws, with your fears, with your past. The doors of Allah are not like the doors of people. People may judge you, they may not forgive easily, they may remind you of your mistakes, but Allah, He waits for you. He welcomes you. He forgives you in ways no human ever could. He honors you when you thought you were broken, and He helps you when you thought help would never come. Even when you've turned away from Him, He still sends signs to call you back. He places reminders in your path, softens your heart through trials, and allows moments of clarity to reach you. That's not coincidence, that's divine care. And when you respond, even with a whisper of sincerity, the doors of help open in ways you never imagined. You see, sometimes help from Allah doesn't look like what you expect. You might ask for relief and get patience instead. You might ask for a change in your circumstances and get strength to endure them. But know this, whatever He gives, it is what your soul needs most, because His knowledge is not limited. He sees the entire picture while we see only a fragment. And His help is never late. It arrives exactly when it's meant to. And here's another beautiful truth. Allah's help is not dependent on other people. If He wants to assist you, He can send it through the most unexpected sources, through a stranger, through a change of heart, through a turn of events, through inner calm. Never limit His power to the means you see. He can create paths where you see none. If you're struggling today, feeling unworthy, distant or broken, don't delay. Call out to Him. Ask for His help. Not because you've earned it, but because you need it. Ask with humility. Ask with hope. Ask knowing that you are not speaking to someone limited by human capacity. You are speaking to the one who controls all things. When you realize that you don't have to be perfect for Allah to help you, it sets you free. You stop pretending. You stop hiding. You start walking toward Him with honesty. And that honesty is what unlocks your healing, your guidance, your elevation. There are times when a person smiles on the outside but cries silently on the inside. They walk among people, speak, laugh, and go about life as though everything is normal, yet their heart is heavy with pain that no one sees. The eyes may not shed tears, but the soul may be breaking piece by piece. Many people suffer in silence not because they are weak, but because they fear being misunderstood or judged. They carry their burdens privately, hoping no one notices, because expressing it feels harder than enduring it. In those moments of deep, hidden pain, a believer must remind themselves of one essential truth: Allah knows everything. There is no need to explain to the one who already knows. The pain that you hide from others is not hidden from your Creator. The moment your heart breaks, He knows. The moment your chest tightens with anxiety, He knows. The moment you try to stay strong but feel like falling apart, He knows. This is the comfort of belief, knowing that even if the entire world is unaware of what you're going through, the one who matters most is fully aware. And not only is He aware, but He is merciful, compassionate, and capable of healing every wound, visible or hidden. Sometimes the people closest to you don't understand what you're going through. They may think you're fine because you carry yourself well. But you and Allah know the nights you couldn't sleep, the moments you had to hold back tears, the times you smiled to avoid questions. And those moments are not wasted. They are seen, they are recorded. They are honored by the one who created your heart and knows what burdens it. There's a beautiful comfort in knowing that Allah sees what others overlook. A tear that rolls down your cheek in the privacy of your room is more valuable in the sight of Allah than 1,000 empty words spoken in public. That silent dua you make while walking, while working, or while staring at the ceiling in pain, it is heard. That sigh you release when no one is around, it is heard. You may feel invisible to the world, but you are never invisible to your Lord. There are countless people walking around with silent battles. Some are dealing with broken homes, others with financial struggles, some with guilt from their past, others with fears of the future. Some are battling their own thoughts while others are struggling with loneliness, but every single one of them is known by Allah. Every burden, every tear, every suppressed emotion is part of a divine narrative that Allah understands perfectly. And what makes this even more profound is that Allah doesn't only know your pain, He also knows the reward for enduring it. Sometimes He allows you to face silent struggles so that your rank is raised, so that your patience shines, so that your sincerity is purified, so that you become a person of strength, compassion, and resilience. Sometimes the pain that no one sees is the very thing that brings you closest to Him. Do not be ashamed of your silent suffering. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you real, it makes you human. Even the most righteous struggled, even the most pious had moments of sorrow. It is not the absence of pain that defines your strength, it is how you handle that pain. And when you bear it with patience, when you place your trust in Allah, when you keep moving forward despite the weight on your shoulders, that is strength in its purest form. You may wonder why things haven't changed, why your situation remains the same despite your prayers. But never think that your dua has been ignored. The moment you raised your hands, your words were heard. The moment your heart turned to Allah, the gates of mercy opened. The response may not be what you expected, but it is always what you need. And in the silence of your suffering, remember that sometimes Allah doesn't remove the hardship immediately because He's shaping you through it. He's building your faith, increasing your reward, and preparing you for something far better than what you asked for. One of the most powerful gifts of faith is inner calm. It's not the absence of hardship, but the presence of peace despite hardship. The closer you are to Allah, the calmer you become. Not because the storm disappears, but because you begin to understand that the storm is under control. You stop asking why and start saying Alhamdulillah. You stop doubting and start trusting. You stop fearing and start hoping. That transformation doesn't happen overnight. It begins with small steps, sincere prayer, reflection, gratitude, and the conscious decision to rely on Allah no matter what. When you make your relationship with Allah a priority, everything else starts to fall into place. Not perfectly, but peacefully. You may still face problems, but you won't panic. You may still feel pain, but it won't break you. You may still be alone, but you won't feel lonely. Because there is a deep sense of calm that comes when you know that your affairs are in the hands of the most merciful. You begin to live with purpose, speak with kindness, forgive with ease, and endure with patience. Your heart becomes a vessel of light in a world that is often filled with darkness. There are people who live in beautiful homes, drive luxurious cars, wear designer clothes, but they cry themselves to sleep every night. And there are people with very little in this world who sleep peacefully because they've handed their worries to Allah. True calm does not come from what's around you, it comes from what's within you. And what's within you begins to change the moment you let Allah into your life, not just through rituals, but through real, sincere, heartfelt devotion. When your heart is filled with Allah, everything else becomes secondary. People may disappoint you, but you're not shattered. Wealth may decrease, but your faith remains firm. Plans may fall apart, but your hope doesn't fade. Because you know that life is temporary, but the reward for your patience is eternal. You understand that nothing happens except by His will. And if He allows it, there is wisdom in it, even if you don't understand it now. It's amazing how peace enters the heart when you remind yourself, Allah knows what I'm going through, Allah is in control, Allah will not abandon me. Just these thoughts can shift your entire perspective. You stop chasing people's approval. You stop stressing over things beyond your control. You start living for a purpose higher than yourself. That's not weakness, that's freedom. And that freedom comes from knowing that your success, your happiness, your future, all of it is in the hands of the one who never makes mistakes. Some people think being close to Allah means life will be easy. But in reality, being close to Him gives you strength when life is not easy. It gives you clarity when you're confused, light when you're in the dark, and patience when you feel restless. It allows you to smile when others expect you to break. Because your source of strength is not limited, it's infinite, it's divine. That strength allows you to forgive those who wronged you, to help those who hurt you, and to remain gentle even when you're tested. Because your actions are no longer a reaction to others, they are a reflection of your faith. The journey toward inner peace is not about escaping problems. It's about building a heart that remains content even in their presence. And that contentment is only possible when your heart is connected to Allah. When you pray not just out of habit but out of love. When you read His words and feel like He's speaking directly to you. When you fall into sujood and feel like you finally come home. That connection is what sustains you, it is what heals you, it is what lifts you when you're low and keeps you humble when you're high. If you are silently suffering today, know that you are not forgotten. If you are trying to find peace, know that the path is open. Return to your Lord, speak to Him, cry to Him. Walk toward Him, and you'll find that He's been waiting for you all along. You do not need to be in a perfect state to draw near to Him. You just need to be sincere. You just need to be honest. And you'll find that every step you take toward Him brings you closer to the calm your heart has been searching for. There are moments in life when you are left staring at your problems, overwhelmed and unsure where to turn. You've tried everything. You've spoken to people. You've planned. You've exhausted every effort. And still, nothing seems to change. That's when many people begin to lose hope. But that's also when a believer remembers the power of dua. Because when every door seems closed and every option seems gone, one door remains open, the door to the one who never says no when you call upon Him sincerely. That is the door of dua. And it has the power to change what you thought was impossible. Never underestimate what a sincere supplication can do. You might be whispering into your pillow with tears in your eyes, feeling broken, but those words you utter in that quiet moment can move the heavens. The same Allah who responded to the cries of Yunus from the belly of the whale, who heard the pain of Hajar in the desert with her crying child, who answered the plea of Ayub after years of suffering, He is the same. One listening to your cries today, you are not insignificant. Your dua is not ignored. Your pain is not wasted. Sometimes you may wonder if your voice is even being heard. You may raise your hands day after day and nothing seems to change, but that's only what it seems like. Because in the unseen, something is already happening. Either your dua is being accepted exactly as you asked, or it is being delayed for a better time, or it is being transformed into something far more beneficial. And sometimes what you are praying for might not be granted because it would have harmed you in ways you could not see. That's not rejection, that's divine protection. It's important to understand that dua is not just about asking. It's an act of submission. It's about recognizing that you are in need and your Creator is in control. It's about handing over your burdens, your pain, your hopes, and your fears to the one who knows exactly what to do with them. And once you do that with sincerity, you will notice that even before your circumstances change, your heart begins to change. There is a calmness that enters when you realize you're no longer carrying it alone. Sometimes people delay turning to Allah in dua because they feel too sinful, too far, too unworthy. But who said you need to be perfect to make dua? If anything, dua is for the broken, for the sinful, for the desperate, for the lost. That is when the heart is most real. That is when it is most sincere. The very fact that you are turning to Allah shows that you believe in His power and His mercy, and that alone is enough to begin your transformation. Never let shaitan convince you that your voice doesn't matter. Never let your past convince you that your future is sealed. The one who makes dua believes in miracles because they believe in the one who performs them. And remember, the language of dua is not only Arabic, it is the language of the heart. Speak to Allah in your own words. Tell Him your fears. Tell Him your secrets. Tell Him the things you are too embarrassed to tell anyone else. He already knows, but He loves it when you speak to Him. He loves it when His servant turns to Him in desperation, in hope, in love. The more you call out, the more you are remembered. The more you ask, the more you are elevated. Even if what you're asking for seems completely impossible, don't stop. You never know what is being shifted in your favor while you wait. There are people who prayed for years, and just when they were about to give up, the door opened in the most unexpected way. There are mothers who cried for their children, people who begged for healing, those who wept for guidance, and eventually they saw that Allah never forgot them. And when He gave in a way that brought more tears, this time tears of joy, of gratitude, of awe. And it is during these moments of desperation that something else often happens. Sometimes you feel like you're being broken. Life gets heavier. Things fall apart. Everything seems to crumble. And you begin to wonder, why is this happening? Why would Allah allow me to be shattered in this way? But the answer is often hidden in a powerful truth. Sometimes Allah breaks you in order to rebuild you stronger. We think breaking is a sign of punishment, but it's not always so. Sometimes the pain is purification. Sometimes the fall is the beginning of your rise. You may lose things that were never meant to stay. You may be distanced from people who were quietly harming your soul. You may be placed in hardship so that you finally pause and reflect. And in that reflection, you discover strength you didn't know you had. You realize that your heart was too attached to the world, and so Allah gently and sometimes forcefully detaches you from it. When a person is broken for the sake of becoming better, it is one of the most merciful gifts. You begin to see that your comfort was an illusion, your dependence was misplaced, and your heart needed to be realigned. You start praying with sincerity. You start crying in sujood. You find a connection with your Lord that was missing before. That pain becomes the fuel that drives your transformation. You begin to live with purpose. You begin to wake up and see the world differently. And as you are being rebuilt, you begin to see the wisdom. The pain was not to destroy you, but to strengthen you. The tears were not in vain. They were watering your soul. The loneliness was not a curse. It was a call to reconnect with the one who never leaves. What felt like the end was actually the beginning of something better. You just didn't know it at the time. Many times the best version of you emerges from the worst moments of your life. When you hit rock bottom, you realize the only way is up. When you have nothing, you realize Allah is everything. And that realization gives you a strength that cannot be shaken. The person who went through pain and came out with faith is stronger than the one who never faced hardship at all. Because that person knows what it means to rely on Allah with everything they have. Don't be afraid of being broken. Be afraid of staying disconnected. Because when your heart breaks for the sake of Allah, He will replace it with something better. But when you try to fill that emptiness with temporary solutions, you'll find that nothing satisfies. The only true healing comes from above. The only true peace comes when you surrender, when you accept, when you trust. And that trust must be continuous. Even when you don't understand, you trust. Even when the pain doesn't stop, you trust. Even when people leave, when situations get worse before they get better, when time passes and nothing changes, you still trust. Because you know that the one who brought you to this moment has not abandoned you. He is working through the delay. He is strengthening you in the waiting. He is shaping you while you heal. Pain is not wasted in the life of a believer. Every tear, every sleepless night, every sigh, it all matters. It is all recorded and it will all be rewarded. Sometimes the reward is seen in this world and sometimes it's saved for the next. But one thing is certain, Allah never allows pain without purpose. He never allows a wound without healing. He never allows a heart to break unless He intends to fill it with something more beautiful. As you move through the storms of life, remember to keep your hands raised in dua and your heart open to being reshaped. The dua that feels unheard is working. The pain that feels endless is transforming you. The silence from above is not rejection, it is preparation. And when the help arrives, when the relief comes, when the doors open, you look back and realize that every second was worth it. You'll thank Allah for not giving you what you wanted, but for giving you what you needed. Take every step toward Him. Fix your prayer, improve your character, clean your income, let go of what's haram, and you will see how His help will surround you, guide you, and uplift you. Your job is to remain sincere. His promise is that He will respond. And yes, you may still face hardship, but you will not face it alone. With Allah by your side, you will have a strength that confuses your enemies and a calmness that amazes those around you. You will smile through pain, you will walk with confidence through uncertainty, and you will rise again after every fall. Because you know deep in your heart, only Allah can help me, and that is enough.